Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. We cover everything Major League, from spring training to the World Series. We've got your favorite club covered, from New York to Boston to LA. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast.
Tuning into the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast, where we discuss all things Major League Baseball. As always, I'm your host, Jeremiah.
I'm Ben. How's it going, Jeremiah? How was the shows last week? Everything went well?
I think they went really well.
That's good. I listened to them. I thought everything sounded really good. So
yeah, thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
I respect you.
I appreciate you as my co-host. So.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you so much more after that. I'm kidding. But anyways, man, before we get started on this huge trade deadline special, how was the Major League Soccer All-Star Game?
So yes, I'm sure Jeremiah, you updated them. But yeah, I was in San Jose last week. I was there for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in San Jose for the MLS All-Star Game. We were covering it for the soccer show. It was great. I had a whole lot of fun. Went to some of the practices, got to interview players, behind the scenes sort of look. For Thursday, for the game, I was in the locker rooms, prior, post-game, had my own seat in the press box, so it was great. I want to thank everyone with Major League Soccer, the MLS. They put on a great event. Thankful for Arsenal FC for being out there. They were really nice as well. So I had a great time. It was a great event. And then I was there on Sunday in LA for the Arsenal versus Chivas game. I was just a spectator, but that was a great game as well. So it was great. So I had a lot of fun.
I'm glad you had fun. Hopefully we get to do something like that for this show. We don't know yet.
Yeah, we can always look at spring trainings next year. So.
That's if I'm still here. I'm kidding. But
okay, a little bomb dropped there. But anyways,
no, I'm kidding. Nah, as of right now, the plan is to be here.
That's good.
With GSMC.
I'm glad you're here. So,
but anyways, we got an action-packed show for you guys today. We're gonna recap everything that happened in the trade deadline, from the most notable trades, the winners and losers, and trades that we thought would have happened but didn't happen, and that could still happen in August. So, yeah, you want to talk about some of these trades? Man, what the Texas Rangers did is just they pull off so many blockbuster deals. Two of them. Yeah,
two big ones, bringing in people like Carlos Beltran and Jonathan Lucroy.
Yeah, not only that, they got Jeremy Jeffries, the Milwaukee closer, and the Jonathan Lucroy deal. And they traded Lewis Brinson, Luis Ortiz, and a player to be named later to the Texas Rangers. Oh, no, I'm sorry, to the Milwaukee Brewers. That's what that players that the Texas Rangers traded. And, of course, later on during the day, Texas Rangers acquired Carlos Beltran and cash from the New York Yankees for right-handed prospects Dylan Tate, Eric Swanson, and Nick Green. And I'm going to talk the Yankees also had they were very busy. Honestly,
yeah, the Yankees trading Aroldis Chapman earlier last week to the Cubs, trading Andrew Miller to the Cleveland Indians. So they traded a lot of their big name guys. We mentioned it on last show before when you were here by yourself, the one before that with me. We mentioned it that the possibility that the Yankees could be sellers is just crazy to think, because they're the most historic franchise in baseball, that they could actually be selling people like that, and they did. And I would definitely. We're going to have our winners and losers segment next, but I'd definitely give them a winner, just all the prospects they sort of gathered.
I think they're one of the biggest winners in the MLB Trade Deadline, because they literally turned two relievers and an aging outfielder for tons of prospects that can help them out in the future. They probably have the top one of the top farm
systems right now.
Yeah, right now. So that's amazing what they just did in a quick span of time.
Yeah, I agree. So in total we had 18 trades on Monday's deadline featuring at least 60 players. What other ones that were big did you look at? I looked at Matt Moore going to the Giants for Matt Duffy.
That was a huge one.
I looked at that as a big one. The Giants really struggling out of the gate here in the second half, and one of the main reasons is their pitching has not been too well. So bringing in another pitcher, a former All-Star.
And their bullpen has been a little shaky too.
Yeah, I was surprised that they didn't go for one of these big bullpen guys like Jeffress, like Andrew Miller.
They were interested in Andrew Miller and Jeffress, but I guess they didn't have the right prospects to land those guys.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they obviously they were trying to, but they weren't able to because Santiago Garcia he's blown a lot of saves this year.
Yeah,
the Giants as a team.
Sergio Romo's not the same guy that he was years ago.
Right. The Giants as a team have blown the most saves in baseball, so a lot of close games that they've ended up losing or having to go to extra innings there. So I was surprised that they weren't able to get one of those deals done, but they do bring in starting pitcher and Matt Moore, who's actually pitching today, so his first start for the Giants.
Yes, today for the San Francisco Giants, and the Giants also acquired Will Smith from the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, not the actor, but
yeah, not Deadshot from Suicide Squad.
Yeah, just the baseball player.
Just the baseball player. And the Giants traded Phil Bickford and catcher Andrew Susac, two guys that were thought to be in the organization for years to come. But obviously Susac is being blocked by Buster Posey and Trevor Brown there, and after he struggled with AAA this season. And another deal that the San Francisco Giants didn't make before the trade deadline is that they acquired Eduardo Nunez from the Minnesota Twins, the all-star infielder this year.
Yes.
Yeah,
and with him going in there, it's obviously you can see where the possibility of trading Matt Duffy because Nunez can go in and fill that spot in the infield.
He's so versatile in the infield. He can play shortstop, second base, third base, maybe even first base if he wanted to. But yeah, I think that was a real good trade just because of the versatility that Nunez has.
Yeah, I agree. One trade I really, really liked was Jay Bruce going from the Reds to the Mets.
Did you really like that trade?
I did.
A lot of people don't really like that trade.
So the Reds ended up getting back Dilson Herrera and left-hander prospect Max Wotel from the Mets. So I like the trade for Jay Bruce because Jay Bruce instantly becomes their leader in home runs and RBIs.
He leads the majors in RBIs.
Yes, and last week he had a span of hitting 6 home runs in 5 games. The Mets really need a help right now because they have Yoenis Cespedes who just went on the DL with a quad injury. I seem to think that a lot of people forget that the Mets were in the World Series last year. The Mets still have a good team. They just have a lot of injuries.
Yeah,
Noah Syndergaard's been injured. Yoenis Cespedes has been injured. If they can get those guys back and get them healthy, you add in Jay Bruce, who can hit a home run really anytime he steps up to the plate. They could be, in my eyes, kind of a dark horse in the National League. You look at National League powerhouses, Cubs, Giants, Washington Nationals. I think the Mets can make a run at things because they do have strong starting pitching and they have guys who are capable of hitting home runs in Cespedes and Bruce when they get back healthy. So,
well, I do agree. I did
like that trade.
I do like the trade for Jay Bruce, and the Mets did have trouble. They have been struggling to score runs since the All-Star break. But I just don't know how he fits the lineup. They got Cespedes at one of the left field position. And then they got Curtis Granderson at the other corner. And then they kind of rotate in the center field position. So I kind of see why they did it. And he's a left-handed at bat. But I don't know. I think they could have got someone else in this trade deadline.
Okay.
But I do like it for Jay Bruce. Who knows?
Yeah, he's definitely going to be going to a team that has a greater chance of winning for the future and right now in New York as opposed to Cincinnati. So I did think that was a good move.
Jay Bruce has been a beast this year at the plate. So
yeah, definitely. You mentioned leading the league in RBIs.
Even the Dodgers and Giants were interested in Jay Bruce, and they obviously couldn't get him because I think the Giants didn't have the prospects to get Jay Bruce. The Dodgers, I don't know what happened with them. They probably offered Puig in the deal. The Reds didn't probably want Yasiel Puig, which we will talk about Puig in our next episode.
Yes,
but we're not going to get into that right now.
And I could say one of the things that led to Puig getting demoted to the AAA minor league, which we'll talk about next episode, was the trade they made with the A's for Josh Reddick.
Yeah, which is another trade I actually like. I actually like this trade that the Dodgers made with the A's. So they acquired Josh Reddick and the lefty Rich Hill.
Yeah, he is on the DL, but he has been on the DL since July 20th, so he should be back soon.
Yeah, and I actually think the A's got a pretty good deal on this. They got three pitching prospects. So that's really huge. This is a good trade for the A's. I don't think a lot of people will give the A's this credit, this trade deadline, because they're used to seen it being sellers. But I think this year they got a lot of prospects back that they could be very valuable in their farm system.
Yeah, really typical A's. They Billy Bean, and they don't really have the money that some of these other top clubs in the majors have. So traditionally, they are the sellers at all points. They can't really re-sign a lot of guys. So not surprised that Josh Reddick got traded.
We kind of knew Josh Reddick was going to get traded. We thought he was going to get traded last year, but he is a free agent after this season. And then I think Josh Reddick, he has a chance to go to a playoff contender. And this is a good deal for Rich Hill also because, he is aging. He's 36 years old, so I understand why the A's traded Rich Hill. And, he beefs up that rotation that's been decimated.
They need that pitching with Kershaw out.
Decimated. We talked about this on various shows. Kershaw be playing. He's hurt. We don't know if he's going to come back. You got Alex Wood. He's supposed to come back later this summer. Hyun-Jin Ryu, he's been sidelined since coming back. And it's just this pitching rotation has been decimated. So I do like the pick of Rich Hill. He does add the left-handed arm, and he's been a strike thrower this year. Josh Reddick, he can help right away. He can help on defense. That's a problem that I think that's a problem that Yusel Puig couldn't do. Was I think he's been struggling on both sides. He's been struggling at the plate, and then so Josh Reddick can get him a solid bat in the middle of the lineup. So I really do like this trade from the Dodgers and from the A's. So I think both sides have kind of won this trade because A's get prospects back. The Dodgers get people that can help them right away this year to contend, and this is a really good trade. I don't think these both teams got credit for this trade. This is probably a really underrated trade this year.
Yeah, I agree. And we're going to be taking our first break here, and then we're going to go into our winners and losers of the trade deadline. A lot of teams we think did really well. A lot of teams we think obviously didn't do enough. So we'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast right after this commercial break.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back into the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. We have really 5 games going on right now, Jeremiah. A lot of matinee baseball going on. So we have in the bottom of the 7th inning, we have the Cleveland Indians with a 4-2 lead over the Minnesota Twins. In the bottom of the 8th inning, we have Kansas City Royals with a 2-0 lead over Tampa Bay. But Tampa Bay is threatening. They have runners on first and second with no outs. Middle of the 7th inning, we have the Reds with a 7-0 lead over the St. Louis Cardinals, a demanding lead there. Top of the 5th inning, we have the Giants and the Phillies at 1-1. So Matt Moore's so far a pretty good start, only giving up one run.
Pretty good so far.
We have the White Sox with a 6-1 lead over the Tigers at the end of the 4th inning. So
cool.
5 games going on. A lot more later. Texas and Baltimore, Oakland, and the Los Angeles Angels. And we have the Mets and Yankees. We have the Subway Series going on a little later at 4 o'clock our time.
Man, a lot of good baseball being played today. A lot of good baseball. But anyways, we're going to talk about our winners and losers of the trade deadline. First, I want to talk about Texas Rangers. To me, what they did, I think they won the trade deadline. They have like a dangerous lineup now sluggers like Jonathan Lucroy, Carlos Beltran. And I like it, what they did, because they didn't lose Jerickson Profor or Joey Gallo, two of their pretty much prized prospects.
Their top prospects.
They didn't lose them in any of these two deals, and that's why I think they are winners here. So they got these two guys that can possibly contribute late in the season, possibly in the playoffs as, depth in the lineup. And you're adding to a lineup full of Ian Desmond, who has been really good this year. He's having a resurgent year. Adrian Beltre, Rufnet Odor, Lamar Mazzara, and you got Elvis Andrews. With Jonathan Lucroy and Carlos Beltran being added to that lineup, it just makes it so dangerous.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Rangers did really well. The one thing I will kind of not necessarily criticize but question is the addition of Carlos Beltran. You do have that void to fill with Prince Fielder being out.
Yeah.
But they gave up a lot of prospects for really a guy who's going to be a one year option. They're
two months.
Yeah, they're really just renting him and hoping he can maybe build some postseason. He is one of the greatest postseason hitters statistically, so that's definitely an added bonus. I think you definitely have to put the Rangers as the top team in the American League, in my opinion, after these trades. Bringing in Lucroy,
even after the Cleveland Indians.
Yeah, so
okay.
I do think so because of that hitting. I kind of on Tuesday's show we talked about the trade deadline in the sports show with Alex. So we talked about this. The Rangers really looked to bolster their squad through the hitting departments, bringing in Lucroy and Beltran. And then the Indians looked to do it the other way. They brought in pitching. They brought in Andrew Miller from the Yankees as well. So I kind of feel bad for Lucroy, though. Like, he had a trade going to Cleveland, and he vetoed that because he didn't want to go there. But in his contract, he couldn't veto a trade to the Rangers.
No,
so he kind of got stuck having to go there, which is honestly, I guess, a good thing because he's on a better team, better chance of winning. But it seemed like he wasn't really ready to move away from Milwaukee. So
yeah, I think he was looking for more of a long-term deal. I think that's the reason why he didn't want to get traded. But it's baseball, you can't really control where you get traded unless you veto the trade on a team that's on the no trade clause. But anyways, getting back to the winners here, my second winner is the New York Yankees. What they did with two relievers and an aging outfielder, what they turned that into, they sprinkled it with some fairy dust. They got a lot of prospects that can help out this franchise for years to come. And they are one of the top farm systems now because of what they did in the trade deadline.
Yeah, according to reports, obviously how you evaluate prospects is going to be different as for everyone because it's just an opinion. But reports are that they have 6 of the top 50 prospects building for the future. That's obviously great for the Yankees. Kind of teased it, but it's amazing to think that the Yankees would be sellers in any trade deadline and also winners at the same time. I think the Yankees did a number of great moves. Kudos to Brian Cashman, the Yankees general manager. I thought they made a lot of great moves that build towards the future because I think he realizes right now they're really not winners right now. They're only about one game.
Well, they're an Asian team.
Right, and they're right at about 500, give or take a couple of games. So building towards that future is honestly the best thing the New York Yankees could do, and they did that in this trade deadline. So I think they made a lot of great moves.
Yeah, and I agree. And another team that was sellers that made a lot of great moves was the Oakland Athletics. They got a lot of prospects back, especially in that Josh Reddick and Rich Hill deal that we talked about. Yeah, they needed prospects to beef up the farm system after giving up Addison Russell 2 years ago and a couple of prospects for, I don't know, they seem like they always give up prospects all this time. But now since, they are sellers this year, they got a lot of good pieces back to beef up that farm system for the future. And I think they got a lot of good pitching prospects that can help out the rotation possibly in the future. I don't know how long these guys are going to be in the farm system, but I do like the way that the Oakland Athletics approached the trade deadline. They are a team that when they were successful, they had a lot of good pitching. Even when they had Josh Donaldson and Giannis Cespedes there, they were pretty good at pitching, even before the John Lester and Jefferson Martin trade 2 years ago. So I think they're going to start there, and if you have good pitching, pitching can get you so far.
Yeah, I agree. This is
just look what the Giants did 2 years ago with Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah, the way the Giants, you mentioned them, but the way the A's have to win is really getting young players and having them develop and play well, because the A's can't go out and sign the big name free agents. They can't really compete with the teams when they're free agents, when their players become free agents, because they just don't have the money to sign them. So this is the way the A's have to do it, is they have to go out, get young players, hope that they develop well while they're still young and not getting paid so much. So this is honestly a good thing. One of my winners is definitely the Cleveland Indians, bringing in Andrew Miller. They have a solid shutdown man or a closer, whichever role they put Miller in there. He's unbelievable. Indians really bolstering that pitching. They just had starter Danny Salazar go on the DL, so bringing Miller as a reliever, I think it's really a shutdown reliever. I think it's a great move for the Indians. They're definitely building towards the playoffs, trying to battle teams like Texas. So I think it's a great move for the Indians.
And speaking of relievers, another team that made moves to acquire relievers, Chicago Cubs. The bullpen that they have now is just brutal. Like, it's nasty. I mean, not nasty in a good way. I mean, like, they throw nasty stuff. Yeah,
like, you bring in Aroldis Chapman, who throws 100 miles an hour pretty much every time. I do like the Chapman trade, but I think the Cubs.
I feel like they gave up a little too much for him.
I think the Cubs are still winners because with the Chapman trade, I think they're probably the best team in baseball with the addition of Chapman. But I kind of don't like the trade either, because they're really renting him for a couple months, and reports are that Chapman wants to go back to New York.
That's the reason why I couldn't really get behind this trade fully. They gave up 4 prospects for a reliever that's only going to be there for 2 months.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he has any plans to stay in Chicago.
But as of right now, though, he is the best closer in baseball, in my opinion. And having him on this deadly lineup and the pitching rotation, it's a good move to win now. And not only that, Chapman adds to Hector Rondon, who came in this year as a closer. He's got
an ERA under 2.
He's been lining it up. He's been the only solid bullpen guy that they had, until the Chapman trade. Then they got Joe Smith from the Los Angeles Angels. They got Joe Smith. He's a really good reliever. He does have experience closing at times. So you got Joe Smith at the 7th spot. You got Hector Rondon as the eighth inning man. And, of course, you got Chapman as the closer. So that's a pretty good 1 through 3 punch from the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning if you needed those guys to come in at that point of the game.
Yeah, I agree. So let's move on to losers here. Who do we have as some losers? I think one of my big losers is the Red Sox. I don't think they did enough on the trade deadline. I was just waiting for them to trade for a really solid starting pitcher, but it did not happen. I think their pitching is what's going to cost them as they move towards the AL East, which is really a three-team race now with the Orioles, Toronto's playing really well, and the Red Sox. So they're one of my losers.
My loser is probably the Miami Marlins.
Yeah, they're another one.
They got Andrew Cashner and Colin Ray from the San Diego Padres, but the Padres, of course, acquired Ray back after Colin Ray got hurt in his first start. So technically, all they had was just Andrew Cashner now, he's a good middle rotation guy, but having him with Ray, I think it would have been that rotation maybe a little bit better. But since they just have Andrew Cashner with Jose Fernandez, I don't know about their pitching rotation as of now. So I don't think they actually did enough. I know they got Fernando Rodney weeks ago to beef up that bullpen, but this team is a wild card contender. I feel like they didn't do enough to keep containing for that wild card spot, because there's a lot of really good teams in the National League.
Yeah, it's that wild card race is getting really heated up. You have the Dodgers and the Mets really as, I'd say, the favorites, but you have a lot of teams lurking. You have the Cardinals, Miami Marlins, Pittsburgh Pirates. They're all there in contention. So I thought that they should have done a lot more. If they wanted to be serious, contenders and pushing for that wild card spot, they should have done more.
And I actually do think the New York Mets are losers. I do think they are.
Because of what they gave up for Jay Bruce?
Yeah.
Or because they didn't do enough?
Both. A little bit of both. Okay. I feel like they could have done a lot more after the Jay Bruce deal, but like I said earlier in the show, I wasn't really a fan of the Jay Bruce deal, because I know he's leading the league in RBIs and he's having a great offensive season for a team that has trouble scoring runs. I'm talking about the New York Mets. So I understand why they brought him in, but I'm just not a fan of Jay Bruce's defense on the outfield.
And that's a big part, especially in the outfield, because you can have balls get by you, extra base runners getting extra bases. So that's a big part. I like the trade, though, because they do need that offense.
Yeah, and I understand why the Mets brought Jay Bruce in, but, baseball, hitting's only half the game. And Jay Bruce is in the National League. There's no DH.
Yeah.
If there's a DH in the National League, then I've been like, okay, a solid deal. But he still has to play defense, and it's not a fan of his defense. It's just not.
Okay, and that's obviously an opinion you're entitled to. So
yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
I didn't mean to get too opinionated there, but I just had him as a loser. So
real quick, any more big time losers?
Not probably the Chicago White Sox. They didn't really do a whole lot this trade deadline, so I see them as a loser there. They were only 3 games under 500. I think last week I talked about it on the show. They were about 6 games back from the wild card. So and then plus they're in a really tough division. So I feel like they didn't really do enough, and they didn't really sell. They weren't really sellers like I thought they would be. So, and then also Chris Sale was rumored to be traded to several teams.
Yeah, I think we'll save him for our next segment in trades. I wanted to see because I wanted to see Sale go.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go, and I felt like they could have got a lot for Chris Sale.
Could have gotten the world for him.
They could have got as many prospects as the Yankees got, but
just for one guy.
Just for one guy. But yeah, I'm going to say them as sellers because they didn't trade their ace that they could have got a lot of prospects for. So yeah, they're probably a seller to me. I mean, no, a loser to me in the trade deadline.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else, real quick?
No, but
I think we touched on them all.
I think we did touch on a lot of teams that they didn't do enough in the trade deadline. So yeah, unless you have a team.
No, I think we touched on all of them. We touched on the solid winners. I thought the solid losers. So I think we touched on about all of them. So with that being said, we're going to take our last break of the MLB trade special, or not the trade deadline special we have here going on at the GSMC Baseball Podcast. Coming out of the break, we're going to talk about trades and players we wish we would have seen. So after the break,
that could still happen.
Yeah, that could still happen. We have obviously different factors that could happen. So we have waivers and everything too. So there is possibility that other things could happen. So we'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast, and we'll be talking things that we hope to happen or could have happened right after the break.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. You heard a little commercial there for the football podcast with Jeremiah's on.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Jeremiah along with Alex. So
yeah, pretty much promoting my own show within my other show.
Yeah, talking all things football all the time.
I'm not even sure if we're allowed to do that, but oh well.
We'll let it slide for today.
Yeah, we'll let it slide. If I hear anything, then I'll be like, well, it's Ben's fault. He wanted to play it. But anyway.
Anyways, moving on. Moving on, we're going to move on now to trades that did not happen that we maybe thought would have, or maybe players we'd have seen to like go on a move. So we're going to jump into that. One guy, Jeremiah, we sort of tease it, is Chris Sale. I really, really expected him to go, especially after his incident. I guess it's a couple weeks now with the
uniform incident.
With his not wanting to wear his throwback uniforms.
Which I still feel like I talked about my last show, the one when you weren't here, about Chris Sale briefly, and I was like, dude, come on, just put the jersey on and throw the baseball.
Well, it's all about comfortability.
Well,
so
come on, dude.
I'm kidding.
You get paid all this millions of bucks to throw a baseball, dude. Just do your job.
Yeah, I'm kidding. But yeah, I felt the same way. I thought that what he did was pretty childish, and
not even little leaguers do that. I even touched on that a little bit, but anyways.
Yeah, so I really thought that he was going to go.
Yeah, I thought he was too.
Because of that reason. They could have got a lot for him. He was rumored, so.
they could have got the world for him, like you said, because I know the Dodgers were interested in him, a couple other teams, and I'm actually surprised the Dodgers didn't actually make a move. I think the reason why the Dodgers didn't want to trade for Sale is I don't think they want to give up Jose De Leon and Julio Urias, their 2 prize pitching prospects, which is very good for the Dodgers, by the way. They actually are a winner because of that.
I would have thought if any team made a trade for Sale, that would have been Boston.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do anything either.
Because they do need that pitching help, and they always seem to make that huge blockbuster trade. I think about when they traded Manny Ramirez, when they traded Adrian Gonzalez and Carl Crawford. Like, they always seem to make, like, huge trades. I would have thought if any team would have made the trade, it would have been the Red Sox.
Yeah, and then they're in the AL East race right now.
Yeah, they're trying to really do a lot there.
With a very good young lineup.
Yeah, their offensive lineup is great. It's the pitching that's the problem. I thought Sale would have definitely got traded regardless. I was literally just counting down, like, okay, trade. Where's Chris Sale? And he didn't get traded. I would have thought he would have, and I thought the team would have been Boston.
Yeah, and well, remember Boston did acquire Drew Pomeranz from the San Diego Padres, but apparently it didn't do enough for that.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's not as big of a trade as this could have been.
But it did help that rotation a little bit. And, Stephen Wright, the knuckleballer there in Boston, he's been pitching a great season. We're not sure if that's going to continue. But, yeah, I would have loved to see Chris Sale in Boston because Boston, they're missing that top pitching ace in their rotation. If they just had that top ace with this young Boston lineup that includes Mookie Betts, Jackie Bradley Jr., and Xander Bogaerts.
Xander Bogaerts.
Bogaerts, yeah.
And then David Ortiz having
a good season.
Really a career year in his last season.
Exactly.
Probably his best statistical season.
And I'm surprised no one made a move for Sale. I understand why the Dodgers didn't acquire Sale because they got 2 pitching prospects in their farm system right now, Jose De Leon and Julio Urias. I understand why they didn't want to give those guys up. So because if they didn't give those 2 pitching prospects up for Sale, I think that's actually because I know they're in a tight NL West race with the Giants right now. So I understand why they didn't want to give up those guys for Chris Sale. But yeah, I thought Chris Sale was going to be moved there in the trade deadline. I'm surprised. I'm really surprised too. And then not only that, I'm surprised they didn't try to trade Jim Shields. Think of it, of course, I'm talking about the Chicago White Sox. They didn't trade James Shields either, which hasn't even worked out for the White Sox since they acquired him from the Padres earlier this year.
Yeah, I'm guessing as far as Sale is concerned, I'm sure the asking price was probably too much for a lot of teams.
It was
so
very high.
That's probably the one thing that everyone went away from. So,
and he's having a Cy Young year, so
yeah, he's probably the favorite for the American League. Yeah. So, anyways, any other guys you thought would have moved or you would have liked to see move?
Yeah, I am surprised Jeremy Hellickson from the Phillies didn't move. I thought, I saw that the Giants were one of the teams interested. A couple of our teams, for that matter, interested in Hellickson. He's having his best year of his career. He has a 3.7 ERA in 22 starts, best since 2002. Remember, he was also a Rookie of the Year in the American League with the Tampa Bay Rays.
Way back when.
It seemed like so long ago. But yeah, Jeremy Hellickson's having a good season. Could have helped out a playoff contender in the back end of the rotation. Could have been a great addition. I think he would have been a better addition than Matt Moore for the Giants, in my opinion.
I thought of anyone with Hellickson, he would have been traded for sure. Of of any player.
I thought, and he's on a team that's not even in contention right now.
No, the Phillies are sitting at 50 and 59. They're 8 games back of a wild card spot. They're pretty much out of it.
Phillies didn't even sell at all. I'm surprised. And you have all these good these good players that could honestly you can get a lot of good prospects for that you have already in your farm system for the future. I'm surprised the Phillies didn't move Hellickson. He's not going to do this every year. If this was the time to trade him,
you got to strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, exactly.
This was that year.
You got to sell. It's like when you're playing fantasy sports. You got to sell high when you guys are playing good. You got to sell high. So they missed the chance to sell high. So now they possibly might have to sell low. But I don't know. I think he can still get moved in August. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Like, for me, the only two guys we already touched on was Hillickson and Sale that I would have liked to see go, and I thought that we're going to go. Is there anyone else that you think has a strong possibility?
I am surprised Yasiel Puig did not get moved at all.
Well, like, I can understand that, but I'm kind of not surprised because I'm not sure if any team wants to take on that.
Honestly,
it seems like reports are that the Giants were really shopping him, and they were not necessarily focusing any trade around Puig, but putting him in every trade that they were trying to make, and no one was really wanting to do that. And I could understand that. I wouldn't want to take on Yasiel Puig.
I think it's because the Dodgers' price for Puig, I think they wanted really good value for him, and they probably didn't get the value that they thought they were going to get for him. And, since Puig, of course, he's demoted to AAA now, which we'll talk about in our next episode, which kind of led to the Dodgers getting Josh Riddick. So it kind of went hand in hand. And I think Josh Riddick is he is kind of an upgrade on offense and possibly defense.
For this season
year,
with how Puig's playing, yes.
For this year,
yes.
As of right now, yes. But yeah, I do think Puig. I thought he was going to get moved to. I thought Dodgers were just going to try to trade him away, but obviously they saw that Puig still has value, and the price for him they weren't going to get back. So I understand that from the Dodgers' perspective, but I don't know. This guy Puig, he hasn't performed. He hasn't progressed since his first year that he came into the league. He was electric in his first season.
He's kind of taken the opposite approach. He's gotten worse as time goes. He's gotten
worse and worse as time goes, and I'm surprised that the Dodgers didn't try to offer him in a package deal. I'm surprised they didn't try to offer him in the Oakland A's deal when they traded Josh Reddick. I'm surprised Bill Bean didn't talk about that. Having Yasiel Puig in the Josh Reddick and Rich Hill deal, because that actually would have been a good value trade for the Oakland A's if they would have got Puig, because you know how the Oakland A's are with reclamation projects. You've seen it in the movie Moneyball what they've done. So I think that could have been a really good trade if the A's kind of put it on the table for the Josh Reddick and Rich Hill. But yeah, I really thought Yasiel Puig was gonna go. I really thought he was.
Thoughts on Alex Rodriguez possibly moving?
Alex Rodriguez moving?
Yeah, maybe they waive him. You think the Yankees could possibly do that? You think they would really do that? It seems like A-Rod's future with New York is
Well, what are they
gone,
going to get back for him, though?
Well, if they waive him, they're just letting him go. So they wouldn't get anything back for him. But there is rumors that could be a possibility that could happen. That A-Rod could get waived by the Yankees.
Which I kind of...
Because they're really not playing him right now.
No, and not only that, they're also trying to get younger. We've seen that from the trade deadline.
You have that monster contract still.
Yeah, the contract. Yeah, and he said he was going to retire after his contract ends, which is next year.
Right.
The Yankees don't want to wait that long.
Exactly. So that's why there is the rumors that they could waive him.
I wouldn't be surprised at all with that fat contract that he has.
You know what I would like to see happen?
What?
You waive him, Miami brings him in.
Okay.
You team him with Giancarlo Stanton, and you have the hitting coach of Barry Bonds.
All
Boom.
Right. Really? That's very interesting. I like that.
A-Rod approaching 700 home runs.
And they're in a wild card containing team.
Exactly.
Alex Rodriguez could possibly mentor the young guys they have there, and Marcell Ozuna, Kristen Yelich.
Exactly.
Giancarlo Stanton, who's still pretty young in his
career.
career.
Would love to see that.
You got Barry Bonds. Yes, I actually do like that. Yes.
I highly doubt it, but hey, I would like to see that.
You know what? That would be. I would actually like to see that. That would be good from the Marlins' perspective, from the front office. So, I don't know. I
don't see it happening, but I would like that.
Let's get it done, Miami.
I would like to see that.
I actually do like that. Yeah, I'm real glad you brought that up. Yes.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
All right.
All right. Well, anyways, that is going to conclude this episode of the GSMC Baseball Podcast, talking everything trade deadline. We had it just happen last Monday, breaking down winners and losers and things we would have liked to happen. Jeremiah, why don't you tell everybody where they can hear us at?
You can hear us on iTunes every week. Thursday and Friday.
Yes.
And then you can also catch us on Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, and SoundCloud. And as well, you can go on our website at gsmcpodcast.com And you can follow us on Twitter at GSMC_baseball and on Instagram at the same handle. That is at GSMC_baseball. You can like us on Facebook at the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. Almost said football.
It happens to the best of us. Don't worry.
You can follow us on our website at gsmcpodcast.com. You can listen to this show as well as my football show, Ben's Soccer and Sports Show, and our other shows on the network. You can also see the shows that are coming up. I think late this year, 2016 to early 2017, I believe. So I think
that's what we're aiming for. Yeah.
Okay, but we got an action-packed show for you guys coming up. Yeah,
absolutely.
We're gonna get more talking about Yasiel Puig being demoted to AAA. Trevor Story, the National League leader in home runs, out for the season
for the Rockies,
for the Colorado Rockies, and Aaron Sanchez winning, haven't lost since April. And of course, we're gonna get into some big Olympic news regarding the sport of baseball.
And softball.
Yes. We can't forget about that. So, we will get into that in our next episode. So, you guys do not go anywhere.
That was beautiful. That was great. I loved that.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so for Jeremiah, I am Ben. We are signing off here at the GSMC Baseball Podcast. I want to thank you guys again for listening. We appreciate all the support you guys give us, and we will catch you with our next episode right after this. Have a good day, guys.